Hey guys, Don't Blink 97 coming back here with another tank review. Sorry it's taken so long to get this one out. I took a break from the game and the last 2 or 3 weeks, and honestly I haven't been able to play it much the last 2 or 3 weeks because making videos does take a lot of time. But back to the tank review. Today we are reviewing the Tier 8 German heavy tank, the VK4502A. Now, this tank is very different from the Tiger II, which relies more on its armor than its mobility, whereas this thing is sort of a crossbreed between a Tiger and honestly something similar to a maybe a Centurion 1, and I'll explain why. But let's first get into the hard stats of the tank. The tank comes equipped with, once fully upgraded, a 105mm gun, the KWK-45L52. This gun fires nearly 6 rounds a minute, has 200mm of penetration with its normal rounds, 244 with APCR, and 60 with its HE, with 320 average damage for the AP rounds and 420 for the HE respectively. Has a pretty good aim time at 2.29 seconds and okay accuracy at 0.37. Has a decent traverse speed of 28 degrees a second. Has the same turret as the Tiger II, so you have 185 at the front and 80 on the sides and rear. And it has a decent traverse speed of 25 degrees a second, along with 390 meter view range. It also has 710 meter signal range. So all around, pretty decent stats, but let's go into these stats in more detail. The view range is 10 less than the Tiger II. The Tiger II is 400 meters view range. They both use the same turrets, as I said, but the main difference is in the guns. The Tiger II's gun has 226mm of penetration with normal rounds, has 5.24 rounds per minute, which is a little bit less than this gun, but in my opinion it's well worth it because with your premium ammo on this tank, you're only getting 244mm of pen, so you're only getting about, I'd say about a 20% increase, somewhere around there. 44mm of pen, which is still going to struggle against tier 10s. Whereas with the Tiger II, you get boosted up to 286mm of penetration, which is the same as the BL-10 gun on a Object 704. So you do really see a boost in the penetration there. It has over 40mm more penetration. Now, this tank also has a top speed of 38 kilometers an hour. It has decent it has pretty poor acceleration. The chassis rotation and turret rotation are both pretty even. The camouflage value is low, as you can see there, and the view range is reasonably high. Now let's go into the armor profile of the rest of the tank. It has 120mm at the front of the tank, 80 on the sides, 80 on the rear, and turret 80 on the sides, 80 at the rear, 185 at the front. But let's go into this armor in more detail. Now, 120mm sounds pretty decent for a tier 8 heavy. It's slightly sloped, but in all reality this really isn't going to stop anything, because while it is slightly sloped, it is just slightly sloped. It's not sloped enough to have too much effectiveness, if we're honest. Around the front plate, you're looking at areas that vary from 160 to 180mm, and if you fire right onto the machine gun port, right at the machine gun, that is only 80mm of armor. So yes, you can get penned easily by tier 5 and tier 4 tanks if for whatever reason you should meet them right in your cupola. Your machine gun port, and light tanks can penetrate you there also. The sides have no side skirts, so this is literally just your side armor. There is no spaced armor on the side to stop any sort of round coming through, so side scraping in this tank, I wouldn't recommend you pretty much go more than this, probably about this much, and even that sort of pushing it. And the bottom plate of this thing actually is stronger than the front plate, so you'd be better off just shooting the front plate unless you can shoot it up into the bottom plate. Now let's get on with this turret. This turret has a lot of problems. First off, a very big cupola. It can get shot easily from all angles and is clearly visible on the tank. The front is 185mm, which is very good, very thick, but the problem with it is completely flat. It has almost no angle on it. It has a very slight angle, no more than 10 degrees, I'd say. And because of that, Any gun with, oh, I'd say 200 plus millimeters of pen, if they accurately miss the mantlet, they can shoot right through the front of this thing. And if we look at the turret cheeks, if they're angled just about, if you're facing the tank straight on, and you so much as turn your turret about this much, those cheeks immediately become penetratable with around 180 to 90 millimeters plus. They are very thin, and as the whole turret is 85 millimeters all around, it is just one big shoot me here box. Once you get into tier 10 games with this, it doesn't matter if you're side scraping, tanks will just shoot the hell out of your turret. And it can also be shot from above as well if they have a slight depression on you, as the top of the tank only has 30 to 40 millimeters of armor, so that is another flaw there. So you're looking at this thing, you're wondering what's it good at, because it's worse than a Tiger II in gun performance and armor, and in terms of being fast and mobile, it's not as good as a Centurion 7.1, nor does it have its gun depression. And so what is this thing good for? Well, this is a very weird tank. This is one that I really have to explain. This tank is a pseudo-medium tank. Think of it as a medium tank, just with better armor and worse mobility. That's how you have to think about it. The turret is placed towards the front of the tank, which is a little odd for most German tanks. Usually they're placed in the middle of the tank or the rear of the tank. Only the Porsche design tanks have this. It has 6 degrees of gun depression, which isn't bad, but it's not too good. The gun depression can trip you up a lot in this tank. But this tank, especially with its 5.94 rate of fire, is sort of a medium-heavy flanker. You mainly want to be going for the flank of heavies. If you're top tier, the gun is very effective and can easily penetrate tier 6 and 7s, which is very good. Has some trouble against tier 8s, and 9s and 10s you will need to shell out some premium ammo to penetrate them reliably. Now the playstyle I recommend for this tank, as I said, is mainly opportunistic shooting, so pretty much just like any medium tank, you want to flank, you want to catch other tanks off guard, make sure they're not paying attention to you. So any sort of medium playstyle you have, you can do, and because it does have 80 millimeters of side armor, if you're playing against tier 6, 7s, and maybe some 8s, you can side scrape, but it is a risk. Now, this tank, I lost train of thought. What was I saying? Now, in order to fully get the benefits of this tank's extra DPM over the Tiger II, this is what I recommend you use for equipment. A large caliber tank gun rammer to get that speed up, an enhanced gun lane drive, or what's the other one? Enhanced gun lane drive or vertical stabilizers, and improve ventilation class 3. I recommend vents and large tank gun rammers on everything that pretty much isn't a arty or a light tank. So TDs, heavies, and mediums, I recommend these 3 things. These 2 things, and then I usually recommend something to get your aim time down, because you will be peekabooming a lot in this tank. As for crew skills, I recommend you get repairs, because it is a heavy, so in those cases that you are side scraping, you probably will be getting focused on. You want to keep repairing all your modules. 6th Sense, obviously, maybe some off-road driving, Brothers in Arms. I'm mainly training up this crew right now in preparation for the VK4502B and the Maus. Those are much heavier, slower tanks. So, yeah, I'd probably just recommend for 3 main things: 6th Sense, repairs, and Brothers in Arms, which are my favorite 3 perks because they really do help your tank out in massive ways. Alright guys, well that was the garage review of the VK4502A. Now let's go ahead and hop in. Alright guys, hopping into the gameplay on Malinovka Rain. Here in our VK4502A, we have a top tier matchup here, so right now we're going to be playing to the strengths of the VK4502A. And Malinovka is not a bad map for this tank. Like I said, because it is quicker than the Tiger II and most other tier 8 heavies, it doesn't have too much trouble going up the hill in Malinovka, nor traversing the terrain. As you can see, we are leaving that Carnarvon behind, and it looks like we're keeping up with the 112. So what's my strategy here? My strategy here is to go on the hill and basically poke the ridgeline. I know I don't have a very good turret, so poking is mainly what I can do. My hull isn't any better than the front of my turret, but the front of my turret will probably give me more bounces, so that's why I'm going to do that. And as you can see here, we are keeping up a steady 38 kilometers an hour, right up until we start hitting the hill. And even when we're hitting the hill, we're not losing too much speed. We are right down to about 19 kilometers, which isn't bad. We lost about half our speed, but it is a very steep gradient, so that's not bad at all. If we were on our Tiger II, we might only be doing 15 to maybe 13 kilometers an hour, so VK4502 definitely beats it there. Now I am anticipating the enemy tier 8 heavies to come here, as they do have a T-32, which I am a little worried about, because if he tries to ridgeline poke me, he has much more gun oppression than I do, and that will cause me to have to expose more of my tank to get his juicy hull, but that will leave me very exposed, and the last thing I want is to be exposed in this tank. So luckily our team has already taken an aggressive position, shooting some of the enemy team on the side. I'm going to do exactly that, take an aggressive position, start putting some fire into these guys, try to keep them at the bottom of the hill, try to shoot the VK's mantlet, which usually is pretty weak, so we bounce that shot. We're bouncing shots left and right here from these tier 6s. Put another one into the other VK. And just notice the rate of fire. With our equipment set up and our good crew in this tank, we have a very fast reload of 8.3 for a heavy tank. Now there's the enemy T-32. This is the guy I was worried about, and I think he's the first guy to penetrate us, but I'm trying to see if I can focus any other targets beside him, because it's going to be very hard to put effective fire into him, as he is pretty much hull down, and to get to him I have to expose myself. So I took a shot with the KV-85 there. Unfortunately it dipped into the dirt. I just noticed the aim time on this tank is pretty decent. The accuracy is a little iffy, but at medium to close range like this, I can snipe cupolas all day. Now the T-32 is trying to use his gun oppression, so I'm not going to counter that. I'm just going to back up. I'm going to wait for him to make the mistake of trying to come more up the ridge. I try to shoot into the cupola, but the T-32's turret has very little weak spots, so we dip it into the turret. The KV-85 presents us his side, and we finish him off. Now the T-32 is starting to move up a little bit, but he is noticing me. I'm definitely on his radar, so the odds of me getting a whole shot at him are pretty low at this point. As you can see, I know he can see me through the grass, so I'm just trying to, sniff out a shot, maybe if I can find one. And I'm waiting for him to hopefully focus on that Carnarvon. So now I'm going to move on the left side of the ridge, which is lower than the right side, so I can put some juicy shots into these enemy tanks. Unfortunately, another shot dips right into the dirt. The VK turns away from us, and now it's his mistake. We put in a nice juicy 324 damage roll, just slightly above average. Now we have an enemy IS-3. We're going to go ahead and aim at hit one of his cupolas. It bounces off. He bounces off the front of our turret, which is 185 millimeters thick, and he only has 175 pin. I put one right into the T-32's cupola, which is a pretty hard spot to hit, so that was kind of a lucky shot. We bounce the T-32's returning shot. I'm trying to coax a shot out of the IS-3, see what he does here. And we get hit by something else, but we shoot the top of the IS-3 turret, which is very weak, and we take 2 shots in return there from maybe the T-32 and another unknown enemy. So now, once again, I'm more in the passive mode now. I'm trying not to expose too much of myself, trying to shoot the top of the turret of the IS-3 again. But unfortunately, the shot bounces. Now, if I was in a Tiger II here, I might be taking more risk, but as I'm in this tank, I'm not going to expose my hull. And we put a very juicy 361 roll into the T-32 there, once again on the cupola. And right now, our team, luckily, is pretty much claiming the hill right now. Going for another shot there, but I miss, and he penetrates his shot right on my cupola. And as I pointed out in the garage, it is a very visible weak spot. And even though he's shooting up into us, he can still hit that cupola and damage us. So now we see some enemy tanks. Now they're being focused right now, so I'm going to go ahead and make a move against IS-3. We bounces 122 millimeter. There's an enemy tank right there, and our teammate luckily took T-32's attention off us. We were able to take him out. Now I'm gonna try to bounce the IS-3 again, get right up close to him, hit his plate. He bounces off us again, but now the enemy IS-3 behind him wants a piece. So I need to kill this guy quick. I gotta make sure I don't bounce this shot, and we managed to take him out. Now we're gonna side scrape off this IS-3 to hopefully not get killed by this other IS-3 who, as you can see, just clearly wants the easy kill on me. The T-34-3 is right there, and he still tries to shoot me through the other tank, and, well, his greed causes him his death. But unfortunately, we put a shot right into his space armor. We're side scraping. He's still trying to find a shot on me, but he's not going to get it, and our teammate finishes him off. Now an enemy Tiger II appears, and throughout that whole engagement on the ridgeline, as you saw, we were using very medium tank tactics. I tried not to use my armor too much, because as you can see, when I had to use my armor, it really didn't give me the effectiveness I needed it to against my tier 8 counterparts. Against tier 7s and 6s, as I said in the garage, the armor will work perfect, and it did work perfect, as it turns out. Bounced a lot of shots from those tier 6 and 7 tanks, but the tier 8 tanks put some big dents in us. So now we see a Comet far off in the distance. We took a blind shot, and we hit him, and critically hit him, so maybe got a tracking shot, who knows. We're on very low health right now, so right now I figure I'm on low health. I might as well just play a little bit risky, because why not? Shoot the Tiger II off in the distance, who I think is AFK. I'm not sure though. Me and the what I believe to be maybe an IS-3 or the T-34-3 put each a shot into him. Fire again exactly where he was, but no shot hits. So I'm wondering right now how I missed that shot. And in a few seconds, we figure out that the Tiger II actually is not AFK. He's just been back there the whole time doing something, I don't know what. And there's the .37 accuracy rearing its head in at long distance. You won't be hitting too many accurate shots. And our teammate takes him out again, making us waste our shot. Now here I'm trying to use the Tiger II as cover. The Comet's backing up. We put one into the Comet, finish him off. Now all we have left is a VK 3002D. So this should be easy pickings. I don't think the VK should be able to penetrate my front plate with his 75mm, but who knows. So we're moving up here, and we're actually getting close to running out of AP ammo, but it looks like we're doing fine. We did fire some APCR this game to make sure we got those shots on those IS-3s to count so that we didn't die, but it was money well spent. So we're coming up here, trying to spot the VK. I don't know where this guy is. I'm just assuming he's in front of me, because where else would he be? He couldn't be on my left because my teammate would have spotted him by now. And there he is, the last guy. We put a shot on the move, and it's at this point when I realize I can just take my time. He's not even focusing on me. And we put one right through his front plate to end his game. Now in the post-battle results, we get 31,000 credits, 4,600 damage, 3,600 damage blocked by armor, and 5 kills. So that game, hopefully I showed you guys how a VK4502A should be played, even in a top tier matchup. Very medium tank-like, very cautiously. So hopefully you guys learned something from this review. If you have any comments or anything, feedback, please leave it in the comments. I always read them and reply. And I hope you guys enjoyed this review. The VK4502A is a fun tank, and I do fully recommend it. Alright guys, well, thanks for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and subscribe for more. Don't Blink 97 is out. Peace.